Hello, and yes, I've been gone for a little bit of time, but it's an exciting time in Rise of Kingdoms because there are two new Cav commanders that just got announced in the game. They are Huo Qubing, or Qubing, I'm not exactly sure how you say it. This is the open field commander, and then we have Justinian, which is the rally commander. I will say, these both look insanely strong on paper. They're obviously going to be a must include in your murder ball, so let's dive into their skills. So we're going to start off with Huo Qubing, right? And I will say that this is the definition of an open field commander. And you're going to see when we go over the kit. Do I think that he's going to overtake Nevsky as the best Cav commander in the game? I do not. And I'll explain that reasoning here later. But he is absolutely an open field monster. He's made for the quick hit and then out of combat, then the quick hit and then out of combat. His expertise is a little tricky and will require some testing, but anyway, let's hop into it. So first things first, we have General of the Agile Cavalry. This is just a Saladin 2.0 skill. You deal direct damage. Damage factor is the highest we've seen in the game, without any other modifiers, of course. I know that Tariq has a higher one technically if you surround it, but deals direct damage factor to the targeted troop, 2,700, really good. He has to be primary, so just basically never use this commander as a secondary, and reduces their march speed by 50% for 3 seconds, hence why I was calling it a Saladin 2.0 skill. The next, Fargana, horses. Cavalry units led by this commander gain 40% increased attack. That's pretty standard nowadays. And then while outside of Alliance territory, they gain 15% increased march speed and deal 5% more damage to archer units. I think this is great. I mean, it's a good standard skill for commanders coming out nowadays. His third skill is Dragon of the Desert. If this commander's troop has not been garrisoned in a building for at least 30 seconds, every time the troop enters combat, it will gain the following buffs for the first 15 seconds of battle, deal 30% more active skill damage, and it has a lower rage requirement by 150. And then after that 15 seconds, their troops will deal 10% more normal attack damage. I'm not going to judge this skill too hard yet, but I'll wait until we finish. So let's go on to the next one. We have Battlefield Appropriations. This skill is when attacking enemy troops. So this does not mean when they're in like a resource node or when they're garrisoned in a flag or a city. So off the bat, this isn't going to be a great rally commander, I'll tell you that. When attacking enemy troops, cavalry units led by this commander gain 30% increased defense, and their troops deal 20% more skill damage. And then whenever they defeat a troop, they are healed for 1,500 with an 8-second cooldown. This skill is obviously really good for open field, because you're only hitting troops, but again, swarming something, it's going to be rough. And then its expertise is a bump up of that last skill that we just talked about, so they're going to gain 5% more increased defense and 5% more skill damage, really good. And then their healing factor is going to be doubled, and it also gains an autumn wind effect, which resets the rage of this commander's troops, all temporary buffs and debuffs, and the amount of time that it has been in combat, which basically will mean that it's going to get that extra 30% increased skill damage again, and the lower rage requirement for its active skill. This is where I have concerns for this commander, okay? So my first concern is we're going to hop back into the other skill, Dragon of the Desert. 30 seconds is a long time, okay? It's a really, really, really long time, and I know that a lot of times, you group up in a ball and then you're waiting there for a few minutes and then you fight, right? That makes sense. But there are a lot of times where you just come out of your city and you just want to start punching things. And this commander, without getting this buff, is really not great. I mean, if you basically have to wait 30 seconds before you engage in combat, and then you just get 10% more normal attack damage afterwards. It's really good if he has that 30 seconds out, but I don't know. Anyway, and then the expertise. This is my biggest concern with this commander, is in order to fight open field in Rise of Kingdoms, if you've watched any of my streams when we were doing our last KVK, you really want to stay in combat for as long as possible. You want to be rage transferring. You want to be hitting one target, then onto the next target, then onto the next target, right? And this expertise skill is really bad for that. I mean, I don't know if it means that you have to land the killing blow, but if we're talking about skills in Golden Kingdom, there is a skill that when you defeat an enemy troop, you gain a heal factor of like 500, and you don't have to land the killing blow for that. So I'm imagining this works a little similarly, which if you hit it and you're still in combat while that troop dies, then you get this effect. And so this could theoretically proc, I mean, while you're in the middle of combat, and it would completely ruin your skill cycle. So imagine you're at 90% rage, and the troop that you were hitting earlier dies, and you're about to launch a skill, and then your rage resets to 0, your buffs reset to 0, you have no rejuvenate, you have no anything, and now you're working up a rage cycle again. It just, yes, the rage cycle is only going to be 850, but, oh man. So, anyway, I think this commander is good. If you're using 2 cav marches, this is obviously going to be an automatic include, I think. But obviously more practical testing needs to be done in the field. This is not a rally commander. This really isn't even a swarm commander, but you're going to do what you can if you have to swarm something. But yeah, I think this commander is good. As far as pairings go, you can't break up Nevsky Joan. I know that a lot of people are saying Who with Joan and then Nevsky with William. I'll say this right off the bat, there's no chance that that's correct. We're just going to hop into the Nevsky here, which you see right in front of me. This skill with Nevsky and Joan just pairs so well together because the extra skill damage here procs or is up for both of Joan's active skills. It's just way too strong. Also, with lower rage requirement, you can do this by testing Zhang Yu with Joan Prime. It requires at least 6 seconds for Joan's second skill to go off. So no matter what, if you have a lower skill requirement, it's not going to do anything. So you're going to end up pairing Joan with Alexander Nevsky as you normally do, and you're going to pair Hu with William, and you're kind of going to be benching XY. So I do think that Huo Qubing is better than XY, but realistically, not by much. And we'll see in practicality, it's got that single target nuke, it's really good, but I just don't see how resetting the rage of a commander is good in the middle of combat. I'm sorry. Alright, now on to the commander that I really think is going to absolutely destroy the meta. This is Justinian. This is the new rally commander for Cavalry, and let me tell you, this thing is absolutely cracked, and somehow they managed to buff Nevsky even more by bringing this commander into the game, which I will explain in just a moment. But we have its active skill up on the screen here, rage requirement of 1000, and deals direct damage to the targeted troop, damage factor 2500, obviously really good. If this commander is the leader of a rally attack, the target's defense is reduced by 30%, fantastic. If the target is surrounded, it adds 3 surrounding troops when calculating effects that factor in number of surrounding troops to the target. So, I think this means that automatically this will take 3% more all damage because it's being surrounded by 3 targets. I will also say that if you hop over to Nevsky, I know, this is what I mean. Lilith loves Nevsky. I don't know what to say about it. When it's dealing damage to surrounded troops, it deals 10% more all damage and take 15% reduced damage from. This is a 15% all damage swing. Normally, when you launched a rally attack and it was like Nevsky Joan, Nevsky Minna, Attila Nevsky, unless it was also being swarmed, this effect would not come into play, and now it does, which is ridiculously strong. So, I just want to point out, this is how it's going to work. This is how combat's going to work. You're going to have Justinian primary with Alexander Nevsky secondary. You're going to launch the Justinian active skill damage. You're going to do 2500 damage factor, and then put a 30% damage or defense reduction on it. And then you're going to hit it with this 2300 damage factor with 30% defense, with the extra skill damage taken buff. And then, because it's surrounded technically by 3 targets, then this debuff is going to override the last debuff. So then you're going to have another 3 seconds of 45% damage reduction on the target, and then you might even hit Justinian again with that debuff still on the target, and it's just going to keep going and going and going. And then the whole time it's going to be taking 10% or dealing 10% more damage and taking 5% less damage. These two are made for each other. There's no way Lilith does not have some sort of hard-on for Nevsky. Like, why does Justinian pair so well with Nevsky? I don't really know. But that's how it's going to work. It's going to be really, really crazy, and we haven't even gone over the other skills yet. But all I can say is that this primary skill is really, really good. And all of this being said, it really does not even matter if, like, I'm sorry, I'm so baffled that I can't even talk. It doesn't add 3 surrounding targets. Like, the max is technically 10, right, when you're swarming a flag, but now it'll be 13 because it doesn't count as a surrounding troop. It's just adding to the surrounding troop count, if that makes sense. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. We have Renovatio Imperii, or what I'm not wherever Justinian's from. I don't know. I just read the skills, okay? Cavalry units gain 30% increased defense. While outside of Alliance territory, they deal 5% more damage and gain 15% march speed. This is a great open field skill. You could use this in the open field. It's good for rallies. 5% all damage is great, and 30% defense, and some speediness. So the next skill, Corpus Juris Civilis. Cavalry units led by this commander gain 20% increased health when attacking cities or strongholds. Their troops take 10% less normal attack damage. So I think that you get 20% increased health all the time, which is great, tanky commander. But when they attack cities or strongholds, then they gain an additional 10% less normal attack damage. Great, really good in the open field still. 20% increased health is great. Restless Emperor cavalry units led by this commander gain 10% increased attack while on the map. Whenever their troop launches a normal attack while on the map, it has a 10% chance to deal additional direct damage factor to the targeted troop. Damage factor is 80 times the number of troops surrounding your target. Remember, you automatically kind of have 3 if you're part of a rally, so that's really good. And then the expertise is just a kind of bump up of that one, and you gain 50% increased attack while on the map. And whenever the troop launches normal attack damage, it has a 30% chance to deal direct damage factor up to essentially 500. So, is this commander usable in the open field? Absolutely. In fact, I almost like this commander more than Huo Qubing. I think Huo is obviously better than Justinian. I think realistically, more than not, you're hopefully not resetting your rage on Huo too often, and you're out of your city for more than 30 seconds, so you get the full benefit of the commander. And the surrounding the damage only counts, I believe, when you're attacking a city or stronghold. Let me double check that active skill for a second. Hold on. Yes, if this commander is the leader of a rally attack, yeah. So if it's not a leader of the rally attack, Justinian only has a damage factor of 2,500 on a single target. All the rest, he has to be part of a rally attack. So, is this commander good? Yes. If you're a Cav main, you're going to use Justinian in the open field, and Justinian is absolutely going to be the meta pair. It's going to be Justinian Nevsky for cavalry rallies. I think Attila's dead. I would just use Justinian over Attila for anti-swarm. It's got the health, it's got the defense. I think that this commander is absolutely crazy, and Cav rallies, yeah, you're going to want this one. So, in practicality, if I was an open fielder, how would I pair these new commanders? I kind of went over this a little bit earlier, but I think if you're using 2 marches now, you use Alexander Nevsky with Nevsky Joan, and you use your Huo Qubing with William. I think that's pretty standard. And if you're going to use 3, then I think you keep those 2 as they were, and then you add in XY, you bring him back, he's still alive, with Justinian. I think Justinian becomes a good secondary to XY. You have a lower rage requirement with a nuke right after a 30% defense application, and Justinian in the open field is just tanky as hell. I think he had something like 50% defensive stats, so he's really good. And as a disclaimer, I do just theorize that that's how the surrounding targets will work with Justinian's active skill. I don't know until we test it. That's kind of what I'm theorizing. It could be that it said only affects that trigger with surrounding, so in that case, right, we have something like Tariq, which, right, for example, if this commander's troop is surrounded, this skill deals additional damage. So it's like 300 times, right? Or even Huo Qubing's expertise skill, where, or not Huo Qubing, sorry, Justinian's expertise skill, where he gains a little bit of extra damage factor instant proc. But I think it's kind of going to count the troop as surrounded, so that's kind of why I think it's going to be such a good pair with Nevsky. Again, I could be wrong. We're going to have a lot of testing to be done, so it's all going to be really fun. I'll have videos out that shows testing for rallies, open field, all that good stuff. And yeah, the reason why I don't have that kind of rock simulator out is I really don't think it's that accurate. I think it's good, and no hard on the guy who made it. I think it's good for a lot of reasons. But we ran some tests with Pyrrhus on the rock simulator, and Pyrrhus Constantine and Pyrrhus Charles was beating Nevsky Joan by 50,000 units remaining, and I was like, no way, not with no relic Pyrrhus. Okay. Anyway, so we'll have the live test results for you guys. You know, I'll do an Ark of Osiris match. We're actually just hopping into KVK now. It is stage 1 of the Marauders. I am saving my AP for barb shading. I'm sorry. But all in all, yes, these commanders are going to be really good, and all cab mains are going to be happy, and especially the rally ones. So anyway, if you guys like this video, please leave a thumbs up and a comment. I will be back with a lot of content to come, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So I will see you around next time. Peace out.